Welcome to Public Safety Talk Radio, the podcast for all of our heroes in public safety, including law enforcement professionals, firefighters, EMTs, corrections officers, healthcare workers, and more. This show is produced by the POCUA and is founded upon its Soundness initiative. This episode is sponsored by Police Mortgage. Police Mortgage is a full-service mortgage company dedicated to serving police officers and first responders. Founded in 2008, Police Mortgage offers a variety of mortgage products tailored to meet the needs of those who serve and protect. Police Mortgage, for first responders who are second to none. Hi, I'm Ken Bader, your host for Public Safety Talk Radio, and I have another intriguing guest. As I've said probably a dozen times since I started this podcast, I love law enforcement, I love entrepreneurship, and when the two intersect, that just makes me really happy. And we've got a guy who's been in law enforcement and is a great entrepreneur. His name is Brian Quittner, and he started Quick Light after about a 15-year career in law enforcement. Part of that in the Harbor Patrol. I could tell you more about him, but I want to dig a little bit more into that. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate you having me here today.
Oh, my pleasure. Like I said, love talking to entrepreneurs, love talking to police officers. Let's dig a little, before I pressed record, we were talking a little bit about your career, which I found interesting, that you were trained in law enforcement, you were trained in EMS, you were Harbor Patrol, so you had some firefighter training. So basically, you sound like a Swiss Army knife of public safety here. Tell us a little bit about that career.
Yeah, so it was a unique career. I worked for the City of Santa Barbara Harbor Patrol Unit out here in California for about 20 years total. 5 years of that was crew time. The other 15 was as an officer. A unique career in the fact that, not only did we do full law enforcement peace powers, we were also trained as firefighters. So I went to a fire academy for a year. On top of that, I had my EMT certification, and then I had a Coast Guard 50 gross ton master's license as well. So we did, again, all the law enforcement in the whole harbor area surrounding hotels, motels, Stearns Wharf, along the boulevard. So any law enforcement call, we would respond to that, sometimes with local police or without, depending on what the call was. If it was a fire type of call, we would respond to that. We had 2 fireboats to respond to different types of situations. I actually responded to the Stearns Wharf fire back in 1992, which basically burned down half the pier. It was a big deal.
Right.
In addition to that, we had the EMS side where we were treating victims, whether they were on land or sea, and different type of accident scenarios, and then the offshore rescue stuff as well. So it was a unique job, not just law enforcement, not just fire, not just EMS. We got to do all of it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, for those folks out there watching or listening that aren't familiar with California, like the two of us are, Santa Barbara is kind of a unique little metro area. It probably would be the biggest city in probably 25 states out there. In California, it's probably, the fifth or sixth, and it's right there in the middle of the state on the ocean. So you have kind of a mix of tourists and vacationers to people that work and live in Santa Barbara, to people that have retired. And it's a really cool place. I've been there a number of times, but it definitely brings challenges for public safety, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. The fire department didn't want to be Harbor Patrol, neither did the law enforcement side of OPP.
So you got the job.
we got to do it all, and it was funny because back then, we were kind of considered the stepchildren, the redheaded stepchild of the police and the fire, because we didn't really fit in any one of those slots. But because it was a unique career, it gave us so much freedom to do our own thing, which was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So what, so you were trained as for 6 different professions, it sounds like.
Right.
What part of it did you enjoy the most? Was it the police part? Was it the EMS part? Was it the firefighter? Was it the ability to be out on a boat in the Pacific Ocean? What did you enjoy most about that job?
Yeah, that's a good question. All of it. It was a different job every
Yeah.
day. Some days you did the law enforcement side, you get the adrenaline pumping on the law enforcement side, depending on what was going on, or other days you'd go offshore 5 miles in stormy seas with 8 foot seas, and you're going after a boat that's sinking with,
Yeah.
maybe there's kids on board or whatever, or a plane wreck or just whatever it may be, or some guy got hit on his bike on Cabrillo Boulevard. So we got it all. We not in addition to that, we were doing mammal rescues as well. So we were grabbing
Mm.
sea lions and seabirds and doing all kinds of really cool stuff that these other agencies just did not get the chance to participate in.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that being a lot of fun. You go from being doing police work, chasing somebody to, saving a boat that's about to go down with like six people on it. That probably lent well to being an entrepreneur because, I know from my own experience, I don't know anything about law enforcement, but I know a lot about entrepreneurship, and every day really is different.
Yeah, you would go to work not knowing what was going to happen. I mean, granted, as people who are watching the show right now, whether in law enforcement, EMS, or fire, I mean, some days you don't do anything. It's
Right.
it's, it's long periods of boredom with brief periods of excitement and adrenaline just running through your veins. So you'd go to work at whatever shift you were on, and maybe you got a call, and maybe you didn't. Just part of yeah.
Yep. Yep. No, I can completely understand. So, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, and you even say this in the Quick Light website, which I think is perfect, is something to the effect of necessity is the mother of invention.
Right.
And it is I've done talking to small businesses and entrepreneurs for practically almost 30 years now. I always say solve a problem, and it sounds like that's exactly what you did. So tell us a little bit about, the journey of, how you saw a problem and then it eventually led to what is today known as Quick Light.
Yeah. So good question again. Um, Back up a little bit. As a young kid, I was very inventive. My whole life, my parents, we were never allowed to have video games. If we wanted to do something, is go into the garage and build it with your own hands, or go outside and play. So, my dad was a machinist. He had a machine shop. He did prototyping there, and so I think I got a little of that from him. Um, and basically, long story short, I was working one night as an officer on the graveyard shift. I was out in the truck, kind of going through the parking lot, just seeing what was happening out there, like 3 in the morning. And I came up on an individual who was breaking into a car. So I stopped him, and I went to get out my flashlight, and I put it underneath my armpit here to hold it. And like many of you that are listening right now, we put them under our armpit or between our cheek and our shoulder. Some guys actually put them in their mouth and drools at the same time. Well, when I did that, I was keeping my eye on my subject, and the light fell from underneath my armpit. And as I went down to pick it up, I was still watching him. But when I picked up my light, and keep in mind, this was back in the days when we were using the halogen lights from like the streamlight flashlights. And when
Right.
I picked it up, the bulb had broken. So I
Mm.
thought to myself, I said, why do we have to hold a flashlight to do our paperwork? It's ridiculous. It's tying up my hand or my arm. Why can't we just have something that we wear on our person? And that's when that idea kind of popped into my head. The light bulb went off, and I thought to myself, hey, let's put a light in our pocket so we don't have to hold anything. Both hands are free. Great officer safety tool. And
Yeah.
that's how quickly I was basically born. Um, and then from there, I actually went back to my office after that call, and I got out a little piece of paper, and I looked at my pocket on my uniform, similar to what I'm wearing now, and sketched out a light that turned out to be something like this, a quick light. So it just goes right here in your pocket. It's totally concealed. Both of my are
Nice.
free. I can hit the button through the fabric, and there's my light source. Pretty cool stuff. This,
Yeah, that is awesome. I haven't, I had the pleasure of meeting you briefly at the SHOT Show,
yep.
and looked at some of the products. Didn't actually see that one in action. For those of you listening on the podcast, to use a highly technical MBA phrase, it's really neat. in that in that you just kind of press it and it flips up, or you could flip it up pretty easily in a pocket.
Right.
I could use one of those, just not because I'm a police officer, just because I'm clumsy.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's grown so much over the last 25 years now. We sell into the commercial airlines, Qantas, British Airways, Jet Connect, Jetstar. A bunch of people use them for their flight crew. In the sporting goods side, fly fishermen like to use our products. On the medical side, the EMS guys and the fire guys also use it.
Yeah.
It's been a valuable tool for these guys to have their hands free.
Are you looking for a podcast to answer some financial questions? Well, then check out the Mortgage Beat podcast, brought to you by Police Mortgage, for first responders who are second to none. Mortgage Beat gives insight into the home loan process specifically for police officers, firefighters, and other public safety professionals. The podcast is hosted by Police Mortgage CEO John Aritos, who has decades of experience in the mortgage industry. Check out Mortgage Beat on Spotify today.
So again, we saw a need for a new type of light to be worn on your uniform. So I came up with this design, quick light. This is our flagship. It's called an X2. It's an all aluminum product with stainless ion hinges, which are extremely strong, very, very low profile, adjustable light I'm on here. This one has a LED strip in it, so I can go from red over to white, and I can adjust the different brightnesses with memory. So this thing, next time I turn it on, wherever I last left it, it will go to that same brightness.
Nice.
If you leave the thing on for more than 20 minutes, whether you left it on intentionally or you turned it on by accident, it will shut itself down. So you don't go into a situation where you have the light on. And again, there's different brightnesses from 5 lumens all the way to 200. So if you really need to keep your position concealed or your night vision intact, this product will do it. It also has a built-in safety strobe, which is really cool for traffic. Once that activates and that thing's bright at night, that will not
Yeah.
auto shut off. That'll burn for 5 hours until the batteries are dead, or if you turn it off. So I can just turn it off. The reason our products look so weird was done intentionally. This product is shielded. There are other products out there now that you can wear in your person. Just so you guys know, every other light out there that's worn on an officer's uniform came from our idea, Quick Light. We came up with a whole hands-free thing 25 years ago. What they didn't understand is our light's shielded. So all the lights are up underneath here. So when I turn this thing on, like it's on now, the light's down away from my eyes. Everybody else's light is kind of like this. So when you turn it on, you blind everybody, including yourself, because that light bounces off whatever's around you. It goes back into your eyes. And guess what? You just lost your night vision for 15 minutes. So that's why this looks the way it does. The light's coming down away from our eyes so we can do our work. And if we need to write a citation, we can look down where the light is not affecting us. And again, keeping our night vision intact. Another nice feature about this, it's designed to go under your lapel. So when you put it on, you cover it up, you don't even know it's there. You activate it right through the fabric of your uniform shirt pocket, adjust the light wherever you need it. That's what that does. Another cool feature about it is because of its shape, it can go right into MOLLE webbing. It just slides right on in. Low profile, good to use. Doesn't take up any room on your MOLLE gear at all. So you can see that. Micro USB rechargeable. This thing has a lifetime warranty. It's magnetic on the back. You can stick it right on the patrol car if you need to. You can mark a road hazard. You can use it as a safety flare if you need to. It also comes with a flare attachment. So right now, if that's outside, you just lost it because it's going up into the stars. But if you attach this, put it on there, it's a nice tight fit.
Yeah, while you're putting
Now
that
you have a
on,
road.
while you're putting that on, for those of you listening on the podcast, if you're in public safety, go to the YouTube and actually watch what Brian's doing here, because it's really impressive. So go ahead.
Yeah, so this is aluminum one. It comes with a removable clip for your jacket or your sun visor in your patrol car as well. It just slides on there, just like that. But for the uniform, you take this off, slides off. You lift up the adjustable light arm. There's a clip underneath there, and that's where it grabs your pocket or your webbing loops. So we make that in that version. We also make a nylon version called the X1. Basically does the same thing, not quite as bright, made from German nylon, which is very strong. This is a more affordable price point if you need to save a little bit of money. So we do have that as well. Both very popular units. Again, this is what started the whole hands-free light movement 25 years ago.
Hmm.
And again, they look the way they do for a specific reason for law enforcement or EMS or public safety, first responders,
Yeah.
whatever you want to be called. It will keep the light out of your eyes and keep your night vision intact when you need it.
Is there something you didn't think of, Brian, as you were making this thing? As
A
you're
lot of
going
things.
through all this, it's like, well, if you need it like this, it'll fold.
Yeah.
If you're wearing Kevlar, you can put it over here. Is there something you didn't think of?
Um, I should have thought of putting the camera in there when I first started, but um, we kind of missed that boat. We almost had it, but we were making a product similar to that with a camera in it. But we just couldn't jump into that race. It was too
Yeah.
fast. So, but we also make this as well. This is a light stick. This is the same thing. This guy goes in your pocket. It's just like a pen. Um, so that'll fit right in your uniform pocket pen slot. 3 LEDs on this one, all of them at a different viewing angle. You got the 20 degrees, 90, and 140, I think is what it
Hmm.
is. You can get each one of those lights independently. You can set each of those lights whatever brightness you want, and each one of those LEDs will return back to that brightness where you first originally set it. Really cool stuff. Uh,
Nice.
so we've got that, and then the latest product that we came out with is this guy. This is called a Quick Light T1 Tritium handcuff key. Uh,
Hmm.
it looks kind of like this. This is what it looks like.
Hmm.
It's made out of a material called stainless ion. It's very hard stainless steel and it's compressed at high heat and high compression, so it's extremely strong. And that middle part right there, if you guys are in law enforcement or the military, you'll know what tritium is. It's the same
Hmm.
stuff that we're putting in our gun sights. So they glow at night for 25 years because it is radioactive. It will glow for 20 years. You don't have to charge it under the sun. It just glows in the dark and it glows brightly. So that's 25 millimeters of tritium. So if you drop this thing in the dark, you're going to find it no problem. It's just
Yeah.
glowing. So if those guys out there, you want the best of the best handcuff key to show off to all your buddies that glows in the dark with tritium in it, same stuff in your sights as your handguns. This is the product to buy. It's an awesome handcuff key. It's a little more expensive than your other ones, but
Yeah.
it's the Mont Blanc of handcuff keys. It's really cool.
Nice. Now, I've got a Mont Blanc pen, but I don't have one of those. But I
Yeah.
don't. I also don't have any handcuffs, so I'm not into that type of thing. So,
Sounds like you need to go shopping, Ken.
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe later. But tell us a little bit. You've got high quality products there, at least, from what I was able to see and touch at the SHOT Show, what I'm seeing now. You're not putting out a lot of cheap stuff. Certainly, you've got some things that are lower price point in order to be able to help out law enforcement that have a little bit of a lower budget. But as you go out there and talk to departments around the country, do you get a lot of pushback on the price point, or do you get you know what, we need this here in our department?
Yeah, it's funny you ask that. And it's becoming more difficult as the world seems to be growing with the whole retail side of the market and so much
Yeah.
competition there nowadays. It's getting tougher for sure. To answer your question, some departments will give us pushback, and everybody's kind of on a budget these days, and they have to be careful how much they spend. But what we have found that those departments or officers that have bought other products that are different from Quick Light, number one, didn't really understand why Quick Light was designed the way it was designed.
Hmm.
Because of the way it was designed, it's more expensive for us to build because there's a lot of little parts that the factory has to put together. And a lot of these other lights is just a very simple production. It slaps it on there. The LEDs are facing out, like I told you earlier, that blind you. So to answer your question, our light might be more than some lights and less than others. But
Hmm.
what you're getting with our product is a very high quality product designed specifically for law enforcement to
Yeah.
last and get the job done. So yeah, it's something that you're going to use every single day. As a matter of fact, when we have officers come up to us at the trade shows, we let them all know, including the departments that purchase anywhere from 10 to 5,000 at a time. We just,
Right.
as an example, outfitted Australia 7,000 units of them because they understand the product and they love it. But if you're looking for that tool to keep your officers safe without the light going in their eyes and having their hands free, then you use a quick light. That's just how it is. So,
Yeah.
and it's important to us that we make a quality product for law enforcement. Because if we're making garbage, we're not going to get very far. We've been in business for 25 years. We take care of our officers. If something breaks or there's a warranty issue, no problem. We'll take care of you guys 100%. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and while never being in law enforcement, I've had the pleasure of talking to hundreds of people that were police officers and currently are police officers. And I know well enough if one guy doesn't like it, there's probably hundreds of others that are going to hear about it.
Oh yeah. Word travels quickly in the law enforcement community, and we can't afford that. So, again, we've developed the best product we can, and we actually did an upgrade on everything now as well. It looks kind of the same as the old stuff, but it's not. We're using stainless ion for all the hinges now, and German plastic, which is much stronger than the stuff we used in the past. Just because these officers, like I know I was really hard on equipment, I could break stuff,
Hmm.
trying to minimize that as much as we can. Does it still break? Of course, it still breaks. These guys are out there in the street getting in scuffles, and a lot of hands-on contact with some subjects that are combative. So it's a small light. It's
Hmm.
designed to be small. It's designed to be very low profile. So it's you can't run it over with your car. It's not a normal flashlight. A flashlight is a tube with batteries in it and a light. This actually has moving parts. So if you're super, super hard on it, you can probably break it, but 9 times out of 10, we're going to warranty that for you.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. What are some of the challenges? I mean, you're manufacturing quality products, and anytime you're manufacturing anything, you got supply chain issues sometimes, you got quality issues, so on and so forth. We even have, a tariff thing going on now, depending on where you're sourcing some of these parts. What are some of the obstacles and challenges to running a business like this?
Good question again. So now a lot of those obstacles and challenges that you mentioned have a lot to do with competition and
Yeah.
price. I think the retail world is really getting destroyed by Amazon, and with that happening, everybody and their grandmother can sell whatever they want on Amazon, or they can come in and look what's out there and copy it. And as I mentioned earlier, we started the whole hands-free light movement 25 years ago, and there's a lot of other companies. I don't want to mention their names, but they're out there. And if you look at their products, you can see their hands-free lights. Their lights are going out into your face, which isn't any good on the law enforcement side, in my opinion. But that's a huge challenge, and they might be cheaper. They're not built as nice, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
They don't have the same features that we have, but you might save 10 or 20 bucks on it. But is that really the product you want to do out in the field? Do you want to blow out your night vision? Do you want the thing unreliable? So the challenge part of it is, again, I would say so much competition, and that has happened in the last 5 years. It just blew up. The flashlight world has blown up completely. It's getting tougher and tougher. We used to have the whole pie for hands-free wearable law enforcement lights. Now we just have one of the slices of it. So it's getting tougher and tougher, I think, every day.
Yeah, it is. Amazon is like it's like a double-edged sword, full disclosure, I own some stock in Amazon. I buy from Amazon all the time. I'm glad they're doing well because I'm making money.
Right.
But also as a guy, just a consumer, that buys stuff for his business, buys stuff for the house. There's sometimes where, I'll see something advertised and I'll say, "Oh, cool, let's look it up on Amazon." And sometimes you look it up on Amazon and the exact product and brand comes up and you tend to buy it. But other times it doesn't come up and you get a cheaper knockoff version. Or, and I've done this before being the cheap bastard that I am. You see the exact thing that you looked up, like, oh, well, you know what? This is 150. I could buy this for 25 bucks. Let's try it. And of course, unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, it's a piece of crap. And then, I end up buying the more expensive one later. And I've spent an extra 25, 30 bucks that I shouldn't have had to have spent in the first place.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that as well. And it's sad though. It's because when I was an officer, there was one catalog pretty much. It was Galls or GT
Yep.
distributors. They had a lot, and then here comes Amazon. And again, I'm guilty from buying from them all the time as well. I love them and hate them.
Mhm.
And then they open everything up. So what did that do to the law enforcement retail world, it has destroyed so many mom and pop law enforcement shops where you and I used to go, you guys out there listening, we'd go to get our uniforms or a badge holder or whatever. It's harder and harder to find those law enforcement shops, and those small businesses are no longer in existence because of the choices you can pull from Amazon now. It's killing retail. It's sad in my eyes, in my opinion. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. So don't buy cheap shit out there. Go and buy a quick light. It's funny. I had a client years ago, was marketing executive, and we were talking about marketing and branding and all this other fun stuff. And she talked about how much she loves Amazon Prime. And she said, I love Amazon Prime more than I love my boyfriend. And I thought to myself, that either says a lot about Amazon Prime or a lot about that boyfriend.
Yeah. Sounds like she needs to do a return.
Yeah, oh, this was about 10 years ago, and I feel sorry for her boyfriend. But anyhow, in more ways than one. But I digress. Maybe I'll edit that out, maybe I won't. So, despite the challenges, the fact is that you offer a quality product.
Right.
And sometimes maybe they people go to Amazon or buy something cheaper at first, but you would hope, and I think in many cases eventually people say, let's get the quality product so that I don't have to keep replacing it. So, with that, with the challenges, with the great brand, with the quality products that you offer, where do you see Quick Light in the next 5 years? Is there going to be, another product line? Is there going to be, something else that's awesome that, maybe we haven't even really thought about as a consumer out there that's floating around in your mind that you could share? What does Quick Light look like in about 5 years?
That's a tough question to answer. Again, because there's so much competition now. The thing about Quick Light is I've had the same discussion with some of my distributors. And Brian, the product life cycle is 10 years. That's just normally how it is.
Hmm.
Well, yes, that's true, and no, it's not true. And the reason I say that is because look at a pair of handcuffs as an example. Handcuffs really haven't changed for 100 years, right? There's this. It's kind of the same thing. Smith and Wesson makes
Hmm.
the handcuff. There's a bunch of other companies, and Peerless makes a handcuff, and they all basically, Ass makes a handcuff. It's basically all the same design. They have a
Hmm.
form and a function that works, and because of that, you don't need to change it. How much more can you do to it? And that's kind of how we view QuickLight. There's not a whole lot more we can do to this thing. It has
Hmm.
a function, it has a form for a reason, and it works. And it's a proven product in 25 years. When we first came out, all the officers were saying, "Oh, that's a cute gimmick." Well, 25 years later, this is an awesome tool. It's an
Yeah.
officer safety tool. So to answer your question, it's probably going to be around just as long as the handcuff design has been around. We might be able to get a little slimmer down the line when the different products available can let us do that. And maybe we'll have a
Hmm.
slimmer battery or whatever, or LEDs will get smaller and brighter. We can always tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, this thing is designed for this reason. There's not a whole lot more we can do to it. It's all programmable. It's all rechargeable. It's small, compact, lightweight, and bright. I mean, not a whole lot more we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I being a branding guy, when you got something that works, unless, somebody's able to make it, better, faster, cheaper, and it have the same quality,
Right.
which is key. Anybody can make something that's a cheap piece of plastic that works for a couple of days, but to work for, maybe even your whole law enforcement career, yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, no, we've got guys that have been using. We've had guys come up to us at the show, happens all the time. Like, oh, I haven't changed my batteries for a year. That was before we had the rechargeable one. Or I
Mhm.
have guys that'll bring this up to me with the very first generation of it, and they've had it in their pocket for 8, 9 years or whatever. Other guys, don't have them as long because they'll break them somehow, and then they'll buy a new one. But some guys will be like, I come on my second quick light. But that doesn't even happen now because we're using the German plastic. So yeah, it's just a interesting product.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, we'll be having police officers, hand down these quick lights, to their sons and daughters, but not too often, because we want to sell more quick lights and more
That's right.
product.
That's right.
Before I let you go, how can folks out there find Quick Light? I know you've got a website out there and it's pretty easy, but you get some departments out there that say, hey, you know what, we need this product, or we need to upgrade what we have today. How can they best find you and Quick Light out there?
Yeah, so we can be found on the web at, Quicklight, QUIQLITE.com. You can go directly to our website. We do work with departments all the time. A lot of these departments have a budget they need to spend, otherwise they lose it. And so a lot of times they'll have some money left over and they'll say, Brian, we've got, I don't know, 5, 10, $20,000 worth of money we have to spend by next month. How many lights can we get for that? And so by doing that, you've just spent up that money that you're going to lose. And you just outfitted all of your officers with a hands-free officer safety tool to keep their night vision intact and their hands-free, which is a great officer safety tool just to get the job done on an everyday type of basis, keeping them safe out in the field.
Yep. Now that's an awesome point. I've heard that before, that, if you don't use the budget, you lose it. And I think Quick Light is a great way to not just use it, but use it effectively.
Yeah, and then we are on Amazon as well. So I'm guilty of that, because anybody who's anybody, you have to be on Amazon now. We're in most of the uniform shops out there. We do have large distributors that distribute our product worldwide. So we are everywhere. And if you ever have questions, guys out there that are listening to this, feel free to call us. We would love to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, I could say, from personal experience, Brian is pretty easy to get a hold of, and I'm sure, his guys and gals at Quick Light are too. Definitely, if you're looking to, upgrade the lighting, upgrade, some products out there as a police department, whether you're in a small rural department, or, even, New York, my hometown of Chicago, or LA, you need to look at this product. Brian, really, really appreciate what you do. Thank you for the service that you've put in as a law enforcement professional, and thank you for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ken. Again, thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure, and thank you to all of you who have either watched or listened to this episode of Public Safety Talk Radio, and we'll be back with you next week with another great guest. Public Safety Talk Radio is produced by the POCUA. POCUA is a consortium of financial institutions serving law enforcement, as well as other first responders and public safety professionals. To learn more about our association and to find one of our credit unions or service providers near you, go to www.policecreditunions.com. And always remember, if you aren't working with one of our POCUA credit unions, you're just banking with an institution that just so happens to serve first responders. As a public safety professional, you and your family deserve better. Find a POCUA credit union today.